I'd like to talk about today how to generate enthusiasm in your construction company. But first, I'd like to talk about my 10-year-old son, Josh. This week, it is his birthday. It's kind of his birthday week. Do you have that with your kids? We kind of do. And it's not like over the top or anything like that, but this is a big one for Josh because he's turning 10 and double digits. That's a big deal for most kids, right? And he's been thinking about his birthday for months. He's excited about getting gifts. He's planning a party with his friends. When it comes to his birthday, his enthusiasm is off the charts. Now, how enthusiastic are your employees about your company and their role in it? Is it possible for them to be genuinely excited about their contribution to the long-term success of your organization? In this video, we're going to talk about that. First thing we're going to talk about is why enthusiasm is important in a construction company. Second thing is the cause that most leaders overlook for a lack of enthusiasm. And then the third thing is the consequence of poor enthusiasm, the consequence on your company specifically. And then at the end of the video, I'm actually going to give you some ideas that you can use in order to generate enthusiasm in your organization. But first, I want to just, by way of introduction, talk about what is enthusiasm. Enthusiasm, it comes from the Greek word, which means divine inspiration. And what's interesting about it is the specific Greek word is focused around the kind of excitement that was produced by certain kinds of music. So think about your favorite pump-up song, right? Maybe when you're working out or just, in general, your favorite type of music and the feeling or the sense that it produces in your soul, in your inner life. That's kind of what we're talking about when it comes to enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is great excitement or interest in a cause. And it's also the source of great excitement or interest. And so why is enthusiasm important, particularly in construction? Well, you don't need me to tell you that construction is extremely competitive and it's extremely difficult. It requires the engagement and teamwork of a whole variety of people in multiple areas in order to bid, plan, build, and then get paid for the projects that you do. And if you don't have enthusiasm, it's almost impossible in construction to build long-term success. Second thing I want to talk about is that the hidden reason why enthusiasm is often lacking in a construction company. And when I mean hidden, I mean overlooked. It's not necessarily something that people think about a lot. And it breaks down into four specific areas. The first one is that no one has really taken time to identify the big purpose or the deep purpose of the organization, that thing that is bigger than just maybe merely making money, that really generates a sense of excitement in a person and in a group of people in order to get out there and really build some awesome projects, to have a tremendous impact upon a community. And that deep sense of purpose must be articulated if you're going to be able to generate enthusiasm. The second thing, the second reason why there's a lack of enthusiasm, and that hidden reason, is often a challenging ethical code, a challenging set of values has not been clearly articulated by the leadership in the organization. And I believe that most people, especially good people, they want to be challenged by an ethical code that causes them to want to aspire to perform at the highest possible standards. And the best companies generate enthusiasm within their employees by defining those values or that personality that makes them unique so that their people can rally around that and say things like, hey, this is how we show up on a job site. This is how we show up in a client meeting. This is how we take care of our business so that we're able to build a successful construction company. So you've got that idea of purpose, you've got this idea of personality. The third reason why there's a lack of enthusiasm is because people don't have a clear understanding of how they're actually going to be successful on a long-term basis. In other words, there's not a clear strategy articulated. Think about the current projects that you're working on. Are you building the right projects for the right clients in the right locations? Or do you have projects on your books where you're thinking, man, I'm never going to build for this guy again, and we shouldn't have done this type of work because we're not really adept at it from a technical perspective, or maybe you're just doing work way out of town and your guys are on the road and they're living in motels and they're not really happy, and there's generally a lack of enthusiasm. One of the key ways to generate enthusiasm in your company is to clearly articulate that strategic plan and be able to present it to your folks and say, this is how we're going to be successful. And then the last reason why there's a lack of enthusiasm often in organizations is because there isn't a focused priority to rally around, something that your people can really buy into. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. Do your people know exactly what they need to do to be successful when they come into the office or onto the job site every single day? Is there a real priority articulated that they can focus upon? Do they know what they need to do on a weekly and a monthly and a quarterly basis and a daily basis in order to be able to say, man, I am just kicking some butt right now? Because if they don't know what that priority is, don't be surprised if there is a lack of enthusiasm in your organization. So those are some of the hidden reasons why enthusiasm doesn't exist. And you really have to be able to face the consequence of a lack of enthusiasm. What happens if you don't have it? That's the last thing I want to talk about. Well, if you don't have an enthusiastic workforce, both in the field and in the office, then there's going to be a lack of engagement. And if there's one thing you need to be a successful contractor, is you need employees who are engaged. And one of the symptoms of a lack of engagement is that your leaders have to have a real constant watch on your employees. They don't police each other. Standards aren't upheld within a team, and the leaders are always having to kind of bring the heavy hand down to make sure people are taking care of their stuff. And when you have a lack of engagement, you have poorly run projects. Poorly run projects lead to dissatisfied customers. And when you have poorly run projects and dissatisfied customers, it's not fun to work in your business. And when it's not fun, your very best employees are going to hear the call of the headhunters or the call of their buddies over at the other companies that are doing better. And don't be surprised if your very best employees go to work for other people. So employee turnover is another consequence of a lack of enthusiasm. So if you have poorly run projects, dissatisfied clients, and employee turnover, what is it going to do for your stress? It's going to take it through the roof. And not only that, but it's also going to drain your profitability. So if you have high stress and low profits, what's the point? That's why it's so vital for enthusiasm to be generated in your company. Now back to my son Joshua just for a moment. We have a tradition in my family where when one of our kids has a birthday, and we have 5 kids, so we get quite a few birthdays during the year, we all have a little celebration by going to a local ice creamery called Leatherby's and getting chocolate chip malts. And let me tell you, my son has been thinking about that chocolate chip malt for at least the last 3 weeks. And he's been working me consistently for a clear commitment on the day and the hour when we're going to get that chocolate chip malt. He does not lack enthusiasm. So let's talk about the next steps about how you can generate enthusiasm in your business. So the first thing you need to do is just get together with your core leaders, the people who are committed to your business and have that sense of enthusiasm, even if it's maybe muted a little bit because of the tough circumstances you might be in. And you want to ask 4 questions. Number 1, what is our purpose? Why do we exist, in other words? Number 2, what is our personality? How do we behave? What's our code of conduct? How do we show up? Number 3, what is our plan? How are we going to be successful? And then finally, number 4 is, what is our priority? What's most important right now? Those 4 questions: your purpose, your personality, your plan, and your priority. Now, later in this month, I'm going to be hosting a webinar called The Triangle One-Page Plan: How to Clarify the Drivers of Your Company's Growth and Financial Success. In that webinar, I'm going to be discussing why each one of these questions is important and what you need to do to get moving on the process of clarifying the answers so that, amongst many other things, you can begin to generate enthusiasm in your company, because enthusiasm is vital to your success. So there's going to be a link either in the description of this video or on the page that you're watching this, and you'll be able to click that link and go out and register for that webinar.